Sometimes we want to solve triangles that are not right triangles. That means we're going to be given some information about the triangle, and we want to be able to use that information and then go ahead and solve for the missing sides and angles so that we know all three sides and all three angles. So in some cases, we can use law of sines at some point to achieve that. So what does law of sines say? Well, law of sines is really just a formula, and we can use it to solve for missing information. So the law of sines is relating to triangles. So first we want to define a triangle. In this case, we're using the sides to be A, B, and C, and we're having the angles be alpha, beta, and gamma. And notice that the little b defines the side, and then it's opposite this angle beta. Same with A and its angle alpha, and then C and its angle gamma here. So we call those opposite or corresponding sides and angles that kind of go with each other like little pairs. And so you can see that what the law of sines says is that the sine of the angle A divided by the measure or the length of side A is equal to the sine of beta over B is equal to the sine of gamma over C. Now, typically when we go to actually solve for a missing piece, we're just going to say use two of these, and we can use whichever two we want. And we notice that there are 4 values in here, and we're just going to know 3 of them and then be able to solve for the 4th when we need to use law of sines. So we're going to kind of pause on that and then think about, okay, there's certain types of triangles that we can use law of sines on, which is the formula that we just showed. So what types of triangles can we use law of sines on? Okay, so we can use law of sines to solve a triangle when we're being provided with certain information. And we break those into categories. So there are 2 categories. Case 1 is where I know 2 angles. And case 2 is when I know 2 sides. So let's look at the 2 angles case first. I can know angle, side, angle. Now, what is that compared to this side, angle in the second one? Well, angle, side, angle says I know 2 angles and the included side. So let's think about where that might be. Okay, and I can just use, let's say I have A, B, C, and I'll just use my alpha, beta, and gamma across. So which ones would I know? Well, let's say I know an angle, and then what you can do is just kind of go kind of in a circle. So if I know angle, then I know the next side and then the next angle. So it kind of goes like that. All right. And so what that really means is I know 2 angles, so in this case beta and gamma, and then the included side between them that kind of connects them. Okay. So then what about SAA or AAS, which is the same thing? Now in that case, I know 2 angles and then 1 corresponding side. So it does help to draw these out to even think about what that might look like. And I'm just going to draw out the same triangle that I had before. Okay. So when I do that, I'm just going to start, and it says I know 2 angles. So it doesn't matter which 2 angles I draw. So let's say let's say I'm saying I know these 2 angles here. And then instead of the side in between them, what this is saying is that I know 1 corresponding side. So I either know C for gamma or B for beta, and it doesn't matter which one. So let's just say, okay, I'm saying I know B. So that would be a case where this would be SAA if I was provided that information and I could use law of sines. Okay, and then the third category that I can use law of sines in is SSA. So this is where I know 2 sides and 1 angle. Okay, so let's pick out the sides first because it doesn't matter. 2 sides, and then it says, and 1 corresponding angle. So 1 corresponding angle means I either need to know gamma that goes with C or alpha that goes with A. Notice that beta goes with B, that's not corresponding to one of the things I already know. So let's say I pick alpha to go with A, and then here I know these these three pieces, and I would be able to use law of sines. Let's test our knowledge and see, given this information for this triangle XYZ, then what triangle category are they describing? In this case, I know one angle. So if I know one angle, then I'm going to think maybe it's an SSA type, and then I can check. How do I know if it's an SSA type? Well, I have one angle and two sides, so I have that. And one of the sides is corresponding to the angle, so this is definitely SSA. Now, can I use law of sines on this? Yes. Okay. The next one I see all three sides. This is an SSS type. Now, we didn't talk about that in the table above, but in this case, the SSS is going to be not law of sines. So not law of sines, but coming soon. Okay. And this one, I have two angles. Okay, so now I'm thinking maybe I'm in a case one because I have one side. And now let's think about what I have. I've got two angles, but then not a corresponding side. So that makes me think that maybe I have an ASA type. I can check it just by drawing a little triangle. And then this, they call this one XYZ. So those are my big, oops. Okay. So I'm just going to highlight what I know. I know X and Y, and then little side Z, that's in between them. So this must be the ASA, which is two angles and an included side. Can I use law of sines on this? Yes, law of sines is okay.